We're going to create a new Studio 5000 program this morning. So let's take a look here. Let's double click on the Studio 5000 icon on the desktop. That's going to launch Studio 5000. A later video will kind of go through the differences between Studio 5000 and RS Logix 5000. But for today, we're going to create a new project in the Studio 5000. So we're going to select the new project. At this point in the Studio software, it's going to ask what kind of project do you want to start. FactoryTalk View, Logix, or View. We're going to select Logix because we want to do a program to run in the controller. The other two options we'll discuss at a later date there for HMI type screens that we could develop. Now, this has opened up to the Compact Logix 5370 controller, and we're using this because we're going to run a Compact Logix. Now, the processor I have is this one right here, the 1769-L24ER-QBFC1B. I select it so it's highlighted. I'm going to type in a name, and down here at the location, let's browse to see where we're going to store this. That's going to be stored in a folder down here. You can see in Studio 5000 I've got several options here. I've made a folder called Recording, so I'm going to put it in there. And let's just call this Exercise Lab Space 1. It puts the underscores in there for us. That all looks good. Right controller selected. Got the name, the path to where to store it. We'll click Next. Now I have an option here under Revision. I've got 35 or Revision 24. Now I'm currently going to be running version 24 in my controller, so I will select that as my revision. It needs to match what's in the controller you're going to run this in. So for now I'm going to use 24. At a later date we might step that up to a higher revision. And then in other episodes or exercises, we'll go through and explain what all the revisions, what it means. So I've got all this, no protection, everything else we'll leave it default. We'll click Finish. It's going to take a few minutes to create our program. It has to create the databases. It has to create different files and things to store all of our program information in. So you can see the Studio 5000 splash screen comes up. You can see the little circle in the center. It's still thinking, so it's getting ready to create everything we're going to need. And it takes a few seconds for this to do that. So, you have to have some patience when the 5000 software is starting up. Now, on this particular laptop, I'm running my Studio 5000 and my other programming software in a virtual machine. And I will talk about some of the reasons we may do that in some of the other videos we're going to create. So Studio 5000 is still thinking. Sometimes you think, well, maybe it's not even doing anything, but just realize it takes a little while for it to create this initial project folder and everything else that it's going to need. So it's still thinking a little bit. We do have the Logix Designer main program outline showing now. You can see up at the top there's several menu options, different icons. And we're going to go through a lot of these during the course of these videos just so you'll have an idea of what these are for and kind of what we can use them to do. So it's still thinking a little bit, and it's now, I believe, almost done. It's going to create this project, and then on the left side when it's finished, we're going to see what's called the controller organizer. And this is very similar to the older RS Logix 500 organizer that we had in the older software, but it's what I always consider similar but different. There's a lot of things over here that we're going to talk about. When I'm first starting out, I'm going to right click over in this area and I'm going to collapse everything. So I'm going to select Collapse All because we don't want that to overwhelm us with all the different choices and things that we have to pick from. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the I/O configuration. So I'm going to click the plus in front of that. and then the 1769 bus. This compact Logix family uses the 1769 IO. So I'm going to click the plus in front of that. You'll see I'll widen this just a little bit. You can see there's my controller with the name of the lab. And then down here where it says embedded IO, we're going to expand that, and we're going to see the IO that's built into this controller. So this particular compact Logix controller is what we call kind of a brick type controller. It's got the processor, the power supply, it's got discrete inputs and discrete output IO built right into it, and then it's got analog, and it's got some high-speed embedded counters in it as well. So in this type of controller, this IO automatically shows up, so you don't have to add that when you create a new project. So I'm also going to now go up to tasks and expand that. I'm going to go down and expand the main task, and I'm going to go one more level down and expand the main program. That's where you're going to see what's called the main routine. That's where we would put some of our ladder programming. You can see also the icon here. It's a little small, but it looks like a little ladder, and that's what kind of lets us know that we're going to be programming this particular routine in ladder. Now, let's also go up and expand the controller heading, and you'll notice we also have controller tags. So if I double click on the controller tags, it's going to take me into the controller tag table, and it automatically built these what we call controller tags when we selected this particular controller. So we're going to look at the local 1i data tags first. So let's expand this. You're going to see we got local 1i data or 1i fault .data.readback. We're interested in the local 1i .data tags. So if I expand this and click the plus, you're going to see there's 16 individual bits inside this data word, and these are the actual data words that we monitor basically on our input card. So these are where we wire inputs in on this particular controller. Our outputs are going to be in the local 1.0. So if I expand that, you're going to see local 1.0.data. Expand the plus in front of that, you're going to see 16 more bits, data 0 to data 15. So this particular controller has 16 embedded inputs, 16 embedded outputs. So let's go over into the main routine, double click that, and this is going to be where we're going to put some ladder logic in. So I'm going to expand this a little bit by hitting the plus. That's going to give us a little larger screen area. We can see it a little easier. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to my toolbar up at the top here. I'm going to grab an examine on instruction, drag it down. Once that little dot turns green, I can drop it and put it right there. Now with question mark, it's looking for a tag. So we're going to double click the question mark, and we're going to go find one of our real world inputs. So we're looking for local :1:i. Click the plus. We're going to go down to the data tags, and we're going to click this little drop down arrow to the right of that, and we're going to pick the bit we want. So on this particular controller, I've got toggle switches on the first 7 inputs. So let's pick 0. So that's going to be local 1i.data.0. Okay, that's our input switch. Let's click back so we have the rung highlighted. Let's go up and get an examine on instruction, or I should say an output energize. Sorry about that. And we're going to assign this to an output tag. So we're going to double click that question mark. We're going to go find local 1.0, local 1.0.data, and we're going to pick output 0. Okay. Now, once I click down, the ease went away on rung 0. It's satisfied with the syntax of that rung. Doesn't mean the rung is going to work the way we want, but at least the software is satisfied that it will accept it, it will compile it, and things of that nature. So at this point, I'm just going to save this. We're going to stop this video, and then in the next video, I'm going to set up RS links communication, and then we're going to see if we can download this to the controller and put the controller into run mode and test this. So for now, we'll end this video, and then the next one will continue on with this same project.